This is episode 53 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. In this episode, JK and I talk about the elite training camp that he's at Proven Headquarters leading up to the HYROX World Championships. Then we go into our sport to hybrid fitness racing number 3, where we're going to talk about wrestling, grappling, or MMA to hybrid fitness racing. We have a whole bunch of listener questions we want to get to, and we were able to answer one more today. That includes time trialing versus racing and what tactics we'll start to see come into the top level of the sport. Let's make hybrid fitness work for you. How's it going today, JK?
Very well, thank you, Anthony. How are you, mate?
I am good on this Thursday afternoon that we are recording. It's a little different. We're recording a little later in the afternoon than we usually do when you're in Australia.
It's funny because Anthony's a night owl. If you haven't noticed or if you're interested, definitely Anthony's a night owl. I'm definitely not a night owl. So it's 5 p.m. my time right now, and I normally start my afternoon / evening wind down at 6 p.m. So that's probably your lunchtime, is it, Anthony?
I go through like Earth's magnetic poles. I go through massive times at one end and then flip around and do the other.
Flip around.
So right now, yes, I'm a night owl. I stay up until very, very early in the morning. Wake up very late in the middle of the day for you.
Yeah.
And right now, I guess you could say I've been awake 6-ish hours so far today, though, so not bad.
Not bad. Yeah. It was funny because you texted me, or I texted you, and then you replied when I woke up the other morning at 6:30 a.m. here in Nashville, and you said good night to me, which was what, 4:30 in Vegas your time? I was like, oh my God. But hey, it's obviously working, Anthony, because you're doing your thing.
It's just when I have time, right? Like it depends on how busy the day gets with having a little toddler. Like, I
Of
want to spend as
course.
much time as possible with her. So when I get the time to work on the computer, that's when I work on the computer.
Yep, that's
And
right.
if that's
That's right.
after everybody goes to bed, then that's when it's going to be.
Yep. Yep.
So,
You make it work.
yep. Um, how is your training camp going over there? I guess we haven't talked about it much on this podcast that, you're over at Proven Headquarters. You guys obviously get a lot of people rolling through consistently that we've seen. So
Mm,
how's the camp there now that you're living with Jess P and Georgie? I heard that they're the
yeah,
best of friends right now.
they are
And
indeed.
you guys
Yeah.
get to all train together every day.
It's been great, to be honest, Anthony. And for the listeners, if you didn't know, that I coach Jess Petro as well, and it's been fantastic. We're doing different workouts every day, and we're keeping to our lane or in our lane. But the one thing that I've noticed is that whether it is I'm, starting a workout myself, or one of the girls, either Jess, Georgie, or Joanna, are about to start a workout, it's the energy that you're getting from them that is helping me get through my sessions, and it does truly feel like we're a team because we're doing it all together. We've got some really cool kind of like messages and mottos right now leading into Worlds, and yeah, we definitely do feel like a team, which is great because, like, I'll be honest with you, I back home, I train all by myself, and I really enjoy that. But I've really enjoyed actually training still all by myself with the girls right by my side. And I'm hoping they would say the same, right? So it's great, and the proven headquarters is phenomenal. There's a lot of, as you just said, Anthony, a lot of CrossFit athletes coming and going at the moment due to their kind of seasons kickstarting. And I'll just throw out a bit of a bit of a I don't know, like an applause for us. The CrossFitters at Proven are absolutely, um, I guess, intrigued and also like can't believe how much we work, how much training we do, and uh, you know, our consistency across the board. And it's phenomenal to hear that feedback from the likes of like the biggest CrossFit names in the world right now. So that's thanks to you, of course, Anthony, from my end. But also it's great to hear, yeah, it's great to for them to understand, hey, like HYROX athletes and especially at the elite level, we're no joke. Like we're putting in hours. So yeah, it's been great. And also like it's still like a while away, worlds, but it's really not. It's in that weird period, and I don't know if you feel like that. It's like I actually said today, it's actually in my eyes about 2.5 weeks, maybe a little bit more until taper starts. So it's like, um, it's that interesting period of time. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
my that's my thoughts at the moment.
Yeah, it's like 17 days to taper,
Mm.
uh,
Is that right? Is it?
something like that. But a couple of questions I thought of while you were talking there. First off, how do you think this Hyrox, because obviously you guys are doing different workouts from each other
Yeah.
um, throughout the day. Some things maybe line up for you, but a significant portion of your volume too is actually like your running and your mono work that really, what are you going to do? Ride the bike next to someone or row next to someone?
Yeah.
Like, or go run. You guys run at different speeds, different tempos, like so there's not a lot like together there. But some of the gym work you can do together. The CrossFit games usually was notorious. They had all the camps that people would go to where like the games athletes, you'd get like 8, 9, 10 of them going to Proven or Mayhem or HWPO or any of these other camps where they would spend time before the games.
Mm.
But most of the time when you saw that, like the Invictus and CompTrain, all them,
Comp
they
train.
would
Yep.
they would do all the same workouts together. Like I remember watching
Mm.
past videos from like the Buttery Bros and stuff where they'd go to the CompTrain camp and you'd see all the women CrossFitters like running up a hill together or something, like their road to the games type of stuff. How does that differ from Hyrox athletes? Because I
It's a
guess you
great
guys are
question.
working similarly, but you're not doing like there's so much skill work in CrossFit that they can work together. There's so much like just little grunt anaerobic short sprints, things like that, where they literally could race each other all the time. But with what you guys do, there's not. Do you think there's a benefit to working as a group when the workouts you do are separate, just say it. And this isn't anything on our topics. Literally, you talked
Yeah,
about it and
no,
it made
no,
me think.
sure. I think, and again, just to go back and like the pure example, right now with myself as a coach, I've got Jess Petro and I've got Joanna Wetrick who I coach. They're working, um, they're working out at the same facility. They're as a coach, they've got prescribed work to get done individually. There are a few sessions a week that they have jumped in together because I've wanted them to do things together. And those types of workouts are predominantly more so like a strength base, not let necessarily like for time workouts, because I'm the biggest believer, and I'll be the first to say, Anthony, I've learnt this from you, that the intensity of most of our work isn't important as much as keeping to your lane and slowing down right? But to go back to it, I think the most important thing that I've really enjoyed is just the environment of elite people in the same room. You don't have to be doing the same thing, right? But as I said before, I'm getting the kick out of, I'm about to start my rowing thresholds. And I'm seeing, Jess, getting after it, and I'm just like, yeah, like, you know, um, I'm getting a buzz seeing that, so I'm putting in not necessarily more effort, but it's just the vibe. So I personally think from going back to CrossFit, like the CrossFit, camps that you said before versus like a potential HYROX camp. Well, I personally think people still would need to stay in their lane, understand that if they're smart with their training, you need to focus on what you need to focus on. But then also maybe 2 or 3 times a week, there would be workouts that you could do together, with the mindset. And this is what Anthony Perosini has told me as a coach, it's more about making sure, or you're trying to slow down athletes more than anything, especially at our, sorry to say it this way, but especially in the elite space, I guess.
So that leads me to a question for you, JK. If there was another
Uh,
Elite 15 male athlete there, and
uh,
they were training, do you think you would be racing them too often? Would it be a benefit
I've,
to you, or do you think it would be detrimental?
it would be detrimental. The girls asked me this yesterday, and I bluntly said I would go to another gym. And that's my honest, like, without even thinking about it, like, just thought, because I think I'll even say it, and I talk about ego a lot. I think my ego would get in the way. And I would need to really be smart about that. I think personally there might be a couple of workouts that we could potentially do together, maybe in the lead up, like in the next couple of weeks, sure, but because the intensity might rise a little bit. But like, to be completely honest with you, I couldn't be doing what the girls are doing. And that's really the honest truth. I think my ego would get in the way. So that's a really interesting question, because the girls asked me this yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for answering that. I
Mm.
was curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of,
What's your thoughts on that? No, wait. What's your thoughts on me saying that?
I think it takes a special person to be able to regulate their intensity and not race and overwork in that
Mm.
type of environment. Uh, I definitely think there could be a lot of benefit to some athletes uh, to having an elite camp such as that. But I also think some athletes it could be a detriment to. So they
Yeah,
really need to know themselves and how they work because um, if they are one of those people like you suggested where like their ego could get in the way and like they can't have that, like if somebody's beating them in something and they're like I can't lose and they go for it, like it could be bad for them to be in that environment,
absolutely.
especially
Yep.
before a big event.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
um, it really depends on the person and they need to know themselves.
Yep. Yep.
Before I move on, actually, I wanted to address something here. It looks like JK to me on video here. It looks like JK has fully embraced living in the United States South here. He's drinking out of a mason
Oh,
jar.
dude, they're so good. I've never actually drunk out of this, and they're so big. It's probably what, like is
I
it a
don't
liter?
I don't think he has fully assimilated. I don't think that's Southern sweet tea.
No, it's not. It is Pillar Performance triple magnesium from the feed, but you need one of the, what do you call, like, what type of jars are
The
these?
mason
Mason.
jar.
Mason jars, yeah. It's I've absolutely stolen it from the girls. The girls can't touch it. And I have my triple magnesium every afternoon before dinner.
So
Um,
It is a
Yeah.
type of tea. You steep something in water, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, yeah. So call me what'd you say? Like
You
Southern
fully
American.
embrace the American Southern.
Yep,
What was it?
absolutely. Love it.
It looks like it could be moonshine or
What's
or
moonshine?
sweet tea. I would
Sweet
assume it
tea.
for you it'd be sweet tea over moonshine, but
What's a moonshine?
triple magnesium's fine. Moonshine's alcohol that's
Oh,
been
is it?
produced in a sill in the backwoods.
Right. Okay. Yeah, not right now for me. Thank you, but maybe one day.
Guys, I just as a story, JK and I have known each other going on a year and a half now, and I've only ever heard of him drinking once. And when he did drink, it was a very special occasion, and I got several heartfelt text messages
Yeah, you
from
did.
my Australian friend.
Yeah. Oh, did you save them? Like,
I
oh, I still
mean,
remember.
I could
I
scroll
still
back and look,
remember.
but it was
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big night. That was my sister's wedding, and it was at I remember. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's
so.
move on.
Speaking of being at the proven camp there, if our listeners have been paying attention, I believe it was either your story or a post on Instagram. JK, you were pushing a center sled with center weights on what looked like very difficult turf. Is that the turf we're going to see at Worlds?
Oh, sorry, you just cut out. I didn't actually get the question.
Oh, I said, JK, we saw the story or post of you pushing a center sled and center weights on what appeared to be very difficult turf, where you actually dug in and the sled lifted up. Is that the world's turf? Did you get an inside track there?
I would love to like create a joke and say, or not a joke, just to create a rumor and say yes, but I'm not. Just for the listeners and for you, Anthony, it's not the center turf. It's the turf that Proven got for us, but it's actually very tough as you saw. But it's actually only in right in the middle. As soon as you like get to the middle, it you can't move it until you get over this little hump, and then it's smooth sailing. So um, there was a part of me that wanted to say, yeah, haven't you guys got
Yeah, we went
it?
to this super secret warehouse and they like
Yeah,
blindfolded us and drove us there. That is that what you're saying?
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, no, of course not. Like we all know that it's not getting touched till the world champ. So
Yep. And guys, if you want to know all the information we have on the turf, just go back to was it the last episode or 2 episodes ago?
I think it was
Um,
last. Yeah,
last episode, yeah, we just talked a little bit about it, and like we said, it's information we have. It's tries to be as close to the carpet as possible. Um,
yeah,
and we don't know which carpet from which venue, but that's what the deal is. And it's not the warm-up turf that's been in America.
no,
That's what the rumors have been. So,
yep.
JK, moving on again, you had a statement last time you wanted to read about aerobic fitness, and I wrote it in here that let JK read his statement on aerobic fitness.
Right. Well, here's the thing. We're going to wait till next weekend because I don't have it on me.
Okay, I will.
So stay tuned, guys, because I wanted to. I do want to bring this up with you, Anthony, and get your opinion and some and some conversation about it, and then obviously get the listeners to to hear it as well. But let's stay. Can we do that next weekend? If that next week, if that's okay.
Yeah, and one thing, guys, I know we didn't do it, and then we're pretty late into the episode here to do it, but I wanted to make sure that we read a little roadmap so you know where we're going today. The first part of this episode, after this long introduction we've had, is going to be the third part of our series of sport to hybrid fitness racing. Uh, you know what, JK, we were going to do swimming, but I think you and I know some people that might be better representatives of swimming into hybrid fitness racing. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna pull a fast one on you here and scrap swimming, and I'm
Okay.
gonna say wrestling, grappling, or combat sports to hybrid fitness.
All you, sir. All you.
Just because why would we not use the amazing resources that we have uh, to
Oh,
to describe
absolutely.
swimming instead of ourselves?
You're a thinker. I
Uh,
like that. I like
and
that.
then
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
yeah, because I mean I haven't asked them yet, so maybe it won't happen. But and then listener questions. We still have a bunch and we got more. So we're just gonna start chipping away at that list.
Sure.
And guys, if you have any questions, please send them in. We're
Yep.
very happy to receive them anytime we do.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, sport to hybrid fitness racing. Number three, wrestling, grappling, MMA, or combat sports. JK, what do you know about wrestling, grappling, MMA, and combat sports and how they train?
Not much. The only combat sport, sorry, boxing is in that category.
Yeah, boxing would be.
Yeah. I think the and look, mine should be short and sharp here. If I had any thoughts on this topic, it would be making sure that the combat athletes are getting as much impact into their body as quickly as possible in relation to running. Um, and then also, as I stated yesterday, sorry, last week with football and soccer, making sure that they're touching the biomechanical movement patterns efficiently and regularly that we need for a good HYROX race or athlete. I think for most combat sports, their aerobic system, for the sake of aerobic system, is probably pretty sound already. But impact for running purposes mostly, and then obviously the biomechanical planes of motion for all functional fitness movement patterns. But we all know that you are the one to talk about, especially.
Oh, JK froze, guys. So, oh, what
Oh,
did you say there at the end? It looks like you came back. You said, especially what?
especially with your background, Anthony, in wrestling. What's your thoughts and adding on to what I just said?
Okay, so where I want to start with this then, because I like what you said there. A lot of it was very um, correct. Where I want to start is my experience with wrestling, which I've also done MMA and some other sports before, like jujitsu, when we would practice in the off season and stuff like what we did. I would like to start here by describing what a typical week or month of our our wrestling season or off season was like. Uh, so just for understanding, I'll start with the off season. In the off season, we would get these lifting training plans, right? These lifting training plans were uh, basically core movements, single leg movements, and some power movements like power cleans, power snatches, hang power snatches, split squats, Cossack squats, lots of GHD back extensions, pull ups, bench press. Like we'd have these lifting programs that we would do in the off season. Outside of the lifting programs, I myself would usually run 2 miles to the gym, do all the lifting that we were supposed to do, and then I would walk back, basically ruck back with a giant bag of like dirty clothes and other stuff that I'd also run there with, but it wasn't as heavy when I was running there. On top of that, our locker rooms had ice baths and saunas and cold showers, and we would go in. So I'd run to the gym. and I do our whole lifting circuit. It'd be about 60 to 90 minutes with rest, like just going through the whole circuit. And then we'd come back. This was the off season. Man, we would do that 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. And then would usually go for a long run or a longer run on the weekend at some point and probably have one full day off. Uh, so I think in total, I was getting about 30 miles a week of running, 25 to 30 miles, which in kilometers, you're looking at like maybe 40 to 50 kilometers a week. Um, Other things that we would do would be hand fighting and drills. We would do so many drills, low effort, low intensity, just practicing the movement over and over and over again. You would a shot is when you drop down, change levels, and push yourself into somebody's legs and then dump them over. So it's minimal resistance, low aerobic effort, and you would drill over and over. You and a partner would go for 10, 15 minutes at a time, drilling one move. And like I would do 3 reps of it, then they would do 3 reps of it while I was defending, but like short defending. You're not defending all out. You're just letting them feel the move, but giving small resistance at different points
Mm.
and being safe so you're not hurting each other. We would do this for that was that was the off season. And so you can see like how that kind of translates that low aerobic effort over and over and over again, the lifting over and over and over again. Um, when the season got closer, what we'd call preseason, um, we would do a lot of drills. We'd go drills and then into short matches. And short matches, I mean like explosive 1 minute, first to get a takedown, first to score a point, first to get 50 underhooks or something. Like you would just you'd match each other and you get resistance from another human. So it's like different angles of resistance while moving. Uh, so your heart rate is elevated but not high, right? And you're getting minimal, like not full resistance. So it'd be like a lot of band training type stuff.
Right.
Uh, and then during the preseason, we'd also do Fridays at 5. So 5 a.m. every Friday, we would have to go meet as a team and we would do usually one of like 4 different types of workouts, but they were always like grueling sessions. Um, the grueling sessions, there was one we used to call it like the farmer boy workout, where literally our coaches took us out to the football field. And I wrestled at Oregon State University and it was called Research Stadium back then. We'd go and there would be like 5 gallon buckets filled with concrete, like hardened concrete. There'd be giant ropes attached to tires. There would
Mm.
be giant tires. There'd be a lot of different things. And what we would have to do is we would do station work. You'd get up in groups, and one person would be, or multiple people could work at a time because there's multiple things per station. You would you'd spend like 3 to 5 minutes at each station. Stations were like running up and down the bleacher stairs as one of the stations. Another station was we had these 5 gallon buckets filled with concrete. You had to pick them up by their handles and run them down and back the football field. Um, you would have this giant tire, and we had to do hand over hand pulls. So you couldn't move your feet, and you had to hand over hand pull it with the rope. There were giant tires that you would have to flip, jump in and out of, flip back, jump in and out of. We had tires and kettlebells that you had to swing and throw behind you as far as you could, and then you'd have to chase it down and grab it. There were shuttle sprints. So, like, you're talking 40 guys all together getting in groups of like 3 to 5 people, just going through these stations over and over and over again.
Mm.
Uh, that was one of the Fridays at 5s. Other times we would do things like 20 by 400, and you're racing somebody every single time, and there's 1 minute rest between each one. Um, and then you would do, I remember a couple of them we had to, our coaches were like, all right, you are done as soon as you finish 150 pull-ups, 1500 or not 1500, 150 pull-ups, 500 push-ups, 500 sit-ups, and 40 staircases with a 45-pound plate. and we could do
Wow.
break it up however we wanted to, but we had to go through that. Um, we would do lots of hand fighting and wall sits, like so. That's the type of training we were doing all the time uh,
Mm.
during the off season and the preseason. In season, we would start getting ready for matches. So you would do your drills, and then you'd have live goes. Um, so in wrestling or in MMA, all these other boxing, usually you're only doing 2 minute to 5 minute rounds
Yeah.
with a minute break between each one, right? So 2 minutes to 5 minutes, minute break in between each one. So you're talking interval style training. Depending on what sport you're in, it's anywhere from like 3 to 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Boxing can go longer, shorter rounds, longer time duration, but still lots of rest. So then you start to up the intensity and get into like actual full on movement. And sometimes they'd still throw in there like, hey, this is a red flag day. When we get into practice, what we do is we have these giant mats. We start running around the mats in our wrestling shoes and stuff. And then like down one side, you start doing like tumbling. So you do like forward rolls, backward rolls, cartwheels, both directions, duck walks. You would do movements down one side, run around, do it down the other, and like you would just stay constant movement. But some of these red flag days after we drilled, we would do like an hour long grind match where you would wrestle somebody full go for an hour. You don't get water, they don't get water or any break until you break them. Like that was the
Mm.
kind of deal. It was like don't be the one that broke. And that was practice, right? On top of that, we had to do weight control, so you had to stay in your weight class. So you're constantly monitoring, being like, "Got to go for an extra run tonight." Oh, I had dinner. Okay, I got to go run another 2 to 4 miles. Like, so as a wrestler, like it was constant. We were always
Mm.
end up doing something, and you were very strict in terms of like what we're monitoring. I didn't do a lot of what we do now, where we talk about fueling the performance. Literally, if I ate something, it mattered. That is weight. I need to burn that much weight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we had this. I do have to say about wrestling, grappling, MMA. I think no other sport, anybody that comes from that sport, no other sport, maybe probably not even gymnastics. Um, do you have people that have such high proprioception and like just they are so aware of where your body is in space and movement that nothing matches it. So
Right.
like in terms of getting movement patterns for them, as long as they were taught proper movement patterns, it's one of the easiest things I think they can pick up. So when you talk about how to go from wrestling, grappling, MMA into hybrid fitness racing, I think if you had a high level wrestler, they would slot in really well because they usually have a maybe not a high peak strength, but they have a high middle level strength,
Yep.
especially repetitive middle level and repetitive body weight.
Yep.
Because you're moving basically your exact same body weight externally from you. So somebody who weighs the exact same as you have to move them around all the time. So they're
Mm.
really good at like that middle body weight. I would say to get them into hybrid fitness racing, they need to run for their aerobic fitness instead of like the amount of biking and the amount of just like low intensity hand fighting and resistance movement we did. I'd say you definitely got to get a little bit more running in there.
Yeah.
Um, Training the running too, like how to modulate your speed with running is probably very important. And making sure that they can, usually the mobility is really good. Actually, one thing about wrestlers and grappling people is that usually the ligaments around the knee are loose. They're not tight like runners. I remember going to athletic trainers and they could move your knee most of the time sideways, like 2 to 3 inches each direction, like
Right.
ridiculous amounts of pliability, mobility there in some of those ligaments. So I think they would need to get their hands on the implements, get the movement patterns down, I think it'd be easy to pick up, but they still need to do it. But I think the
Hmm.
muscular endurance piece is probably the one they're most suited to. So it would come down to um, they would more likely than not have uh, excess strength in their upper body and would need to either strengthen their lower body a little bit or at least practice running speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Anthony, do you think as you just said, combat athletes already have, I'll use the word, the coordination of their body probably down pat because of the movement patterns, as you just said? I think combat athletes would, as you just suggested as well, like be able to pick up the coordination aspects of a HYROX race, such as the coordination of a burpee broad jump, especially the jump, even the coordination of being able to uh, move with the farmer's carry, with load, the coordination of unilateral stepping, like, the lunges, and also obviously, of course, the coordination of the wall balls squatting and into a throw and then catch. Like, I'm just, like what you just suggested there, it makes sense because of the not necessarily hand-eye, sorry, but the coordination and work combat athletes put into their co overall body coordination, right?
What's funny to me is what you're asking about is you kind of just, I think, labeled me as a coach because what are some of my athletes, what are they the best at usually? Burpees, farmer carries, and lunges, more likely than not.
Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't even think about it that way, but
So,
true.
so obviously I take what I know and
Yeah,
that's what I teach, right? The the burpees, first off, absolutely. That is literally what we call a sprawl. You
yeah,
do
true.
we do hundreds of those a day
Mm,
during wrestling, and the only difference is when you sprawl, it's just like hip to mat, or
mm,
instead of all you got to do then is like a push up. But how much push ups do we do too? You know,
yeah,
um, the farmer carry, absolutely. Farmer carry and farmer carry movement, 100%. Just how you're moving and how you're getting used to that. Um, and the lunges, yeah, the unilateral strength
yeah,
is so
yeah.
important. And I think I've told you this before too, JK. Lunging is just exaggerated walking, right? It's just like walking with extra movement.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
um,
yeah,
down up,
yeah,
down up.
yeah. No, I like it, and I didn't realize how much let's just say like let's just say like general fitness, right? Um, you as a wrestler, as you just use yourself as an example, like had to do, like the general fitness components is is ticked off already
So
to a degree.
yeah, I don't know if that's everybody's experience. I know
Yeah,
that I
sure,
did
yeah,
have
yeah,
I was very lucky. I did have coaches that knew um, at their time had developed their own training theory. Like we're developing our own training
yeah,
theory right now. It's for us, but they definitely had their own training theory and were science backed about it and not, and like evidence based and all this stuff. Like my
yeah,
coaches, especially through college, were 100% knowledgeable in what was new, what was coming up, like how to train somebody, and they weren't afraid to change it and like implement new things if they saw new fitness trends coming in. They would be like, "Oh, how does this work? How does that work?" And they develop things way over time. Like the head coach that I had in college was the 1980s wrestler of the decade, three-time NCAA champion. Like
well,
um, he basically walked through the U.S. Olympic trials until he tore his groin. But
oh,
another coach I had was very science based. Like he had a twin brother, and I remember he told us stories that he'd won an NCAA championship, and him and his twin brother had were cutting weight or something after a tournament that they had a tough time at. they literally got on the treadmills, and both of them had in their head that they weren't going to stop until the other one did, and they ended up doing like 6 to 8 hours after midnight, like all through the night on these two treadmills, like just waiting for the other one to quit.
Oh my God.
Um, like so,
That's
some mentally
crazy.
tough people, but also I remember doing like before I knew what CrossFit was, and this was like '07 to 11. One of
Mm,
my coaches was like, "There's this new trend in fitness. Let's go try some of these workouts." And like we did things like I think it was called Javoric. There was a workout called Javoric, which uh, we had done. There were like body weight workouts that we had done. You know, we did massive amounts of pull-ups, push-ups, and air squats. Like
yeah.
there was just fitness that they wanted us to have. And then the amount of aerobic volume we got through just practicing technique on each other.
Yeah, right.
And it
Yeah.
translated really well. We were, I believe my junior or senior year of college, we were top 10 in the nation.
Really.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and like we had gotten better. Like I remember each year we were like 31st, then 21st, then like 11th and ninth or something. Like our team just got better and better and better. uh,
Mm,
since those guys had
mm,
taken over. So they're wrestlers, grapplers, MMA going into hybrid fitness racing. I think there are a lot of strengths from them that they could use, but there is definitely the long aerobic pieces that they would need, and the most time developing I think that they would require is actual speed, because
right.
I
Right.
remember I could run a half marathon, no problem, in a marathon, like during wrestling and the off season and stuff. But I think my PR back then was like a 140. Um, so like an hour, 40 minutes, which it's not slow. It's like a seven something mile, right? But it's not the level of speed that you would need here. And I think my top mile during that time, I might have been able to get close to like a 5:20. I think my fastest mile ever might have been from that time. I was like a 5:17 one time.
Mm,
Um, but that wouldn't have been common.
yeah. 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 Well, that's interesting. Thank you for all that insight, Anthony.
Yeah.
Um, so just to
So
cap that off.
well, that's the question then. If I came to you as that fitness after college, I came to you, JK, and I was like, I want to do this HYROX thing. Where would you start me
Yep.
at?
I would make sure that we understand where we're starting in relation to your pacing in terms of your running threshold and start there and start understanding yeah, like what type of running structure we'll be putting you on. Um I'd make sure, again, I said this last week, we get familiar with the machines, the ergs. But I think like on top of that, what you suggested about potentially adding in some sort of, I don't like using the word speed, right? Because I, I don't know, because I don't necessarily think it's necessarily for myself right now, but I think there's definitely like components of work that we would need to hit to make sure that yeah we're touching speed every week, right?
So I agree with all that. I would probably say the speed sprinkles, the
Speed
strides.
sprinkles. There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think those would be good. Um, I think it's pretty evident, JK. I don't know. I send you some of the things I do in training sometimes,
yeah,
like my hill runs. Can you see where that comes from now?
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it all makes sense, right?
Right.
It all makes sense. And also like your ability, right, to do body weight movement.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. Even your 100 push-up time compared to mine, you know?
So there's a
Um,
CrossFit workout called Sydney. I remember when I first got into CrossFit after wrestling. So my career went from wrestling, I started running marathons and triathlons, and then I got into CrossFit.
Mm.
So I wrestled for 13 or 14 years, did 3 or 4 years of wrestling, of triathlons and marathons. And then now I'm 12, 13 years since I walked into a CrossFit gym.
Yep.
Um, I mean, obviously not the whole time, but I still use elements of CrossFit. So, but one of my favorite CrossFit workouts was Cindy.
Which
And it's
is
20-minute AMRAP of 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And I've
How many rounds would you get in 20 minutes?
the most I've ever gotten is 31 plus something, 31 rounds plus something. And most recently, I think I did it within the last year and I got over 30 rounds still.
I think you programmed that for me in the last year.
I think I programmed it for you over the summer.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. And I definitely did not get 30
I
rounds.
think you got like 26 or 27.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's a good little burner actually. But yes.
Speaking of that
I'll
type of workout,
mm,
actually, because it's
yeah.
coming up, by the time this comes out, we're a week and 3 days probably away from Memorial Day.
Dude, you read my mind. I was about to bring this up. I was
Oh,
like, hey,
I was going to
Memorial
ask
Day's
you,
coming up.
Memorial
Yeah.
Day is coming up. I got to tell you, it's too close to Worlds. I don't think I'm going to have you do it unless you
Okay.
beg me. But are a
Yes,
lot of people at
coach.
Proven doing it?
There's a Murph day, yeah, yeah, which is sorry because I don't know the exact date, but it's the Monday the
I think it's the 28th, 26th.
26th. Yep. Yeah, there's a big flock of people coming in for it. So just on that, because you did get me to do it last year. Do you remember? I was in Scotland. And I did it. Maybe it wasn't near Memorial, like it wasn't on the day. But I
I
did
don't
it
know
with
if
the
I
vest,
would
and
have had you do it, but you didn't wear a vest then?
yeah, I did.
I wouldn't have ripped your hands up like that.
I wore a vest, and I think it was like maybe 2 months prior to Worlds or something.
Oh, maybe we did do it, and because you said you wanted to do it before, but I said Memorial Day was too close. I think,
Yeah,
and I pulled it back like 3 weeks. So I think it was like at the end of April or beginning of May you
I
did
think it
it.
was. I think it was. And due to the fact that I don't have kipping pull-ups, I did it strict. Um,
You were sore
so.
after that, huh?
I was sore. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was sore. Yeah. So on that note, of course, I will not be doing it then. Will you be doing it?
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm not
nice.
probably not gonna go anywhere to do it. I'm probably just gonna do it from my garage.
Yeah, cool.
And I'll probably do, I don't know, every year I change up how I do it. I'll wear a weight vest. I'll probably do 20 rounds of 5, 10, 15.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do 10 rounds of 10, 20, 30 instead. Not quite sure yet, but I've gone straight through before. I've gotten pretty good times on it, like low 30s. So it's a fun workout. I actually enjoy doing it. Um, After you've been doing, like when I first started doing CrossFit, first started doing this stuff, doing Murph was like, oh my God, that's so much volume. That's all I'm going to do in the day.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now it's kind of like, all right, that's workout one.
Mm.
And
Like it's not too bad.
I've done it before, in terms of like, I do it multiple times a year, not just on Memorial Day. So I've actually done it, I think the most times in one year. I think I was doing it like every other month. So like 6 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd partition it different ways or go unpartitioned. Um, I actually think JK after Worlds, it's something you should do.
We could hit. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and I mean, I was going to ask you again, but Lauren and I actually one year did Murph up at my parents' lake house in Montana. Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
we we did pull-ups off the balcony because we didn't have a pull-up bar. So there's a
That
patio.
was
We
like
just reached up and like, yeah, just like hand grip it. Hardest Murph I've
grinded.
ever done.
When you say up at Montana, is it in altitude?
Oh yeah, well, higher than I am in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Higher than you are. It's probably around 4,000 feet, 4,200 feet. There. I say up because it's
Which
north of
is,
me.
oh, okay. Gotcha.
But 4,200
Gotcha.
feet is what? Like 260 meters? No, 2,600 meters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Um,
So,
no, just on that, straight after Worlds, I'm into a marathon block, aren't I?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna you get to run a marathon. Do you want to put that out there? What's your goal?
That's exactly my goal. He's and I know he listens to us. My goal for the Sunshine Coast Marathon on August 3rd is to beat Jake Dearden's time.
What was his
That is
time?
my goal. Um, Respectfully, a 2:28, which is flying, which is moving. So, Jake, if you're listening to this, I just want to beat you by 1 second, mate, and I'll be very happy. Which honestly, it's that is going to be my last marathon was maybe 8 years ago, and I did a 2:50 on the nose.
Okay.
Um,
Well, here's what I'll
two
tell you
hours
right now.
50.
I think right now, if you were to run a marathon without specific training for it, where you're at, I think you could get really close to doing a 2:35. So you
See,
want to pull off 7 minutes. How long
the
after
yeah,
Worlds is Gold Coast?
it's it's 7 weeks, pretty much exactly.
Okay, so we got time to build you into some long runs.
Yeah, yeah, which is the most, it's the key, it's key, right? Just building the tolerance for over time. But geez, yeah, I his run his time is phenomenal. I don't know how
I
he did
mean,
that.
that's phenomenal. That's
Mm,
very, very close to like women's Olympic qualifying
yeah,
standards.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, off topic, but that's what we'll be doing straight after Worlds, Anthony.
Okay. That's a great one to put out there.
Yep,
228. 228
yep.
marathon. All right. I'm excited for you. Is this the same one that you ran last year where you ran the half?
No, it's a different course, still very flat. Um, it'll be a nice weather at that time of year at home as well. So we're ready to go.
Does it
This is of course after Jake and I win the Elite 15 doubles um, together and do it do it with a race or two under our belt prior. I'm not sure yet, but anyway.
I got a question for you because now like we're looking at
Yeah.
this. I don't know if Jake listens to this or not. You said he does. Um, you gonna be you gonna have Team Australia beat him in the relay?
Yeah, of course. And you know, if I'm lucky enough to be picked in the relay, we're definitely going to be um, we're definitely going to be uh, up there with the with the best. It'll
Hey,
be
I think
interesting, right?
I really think Australia and England will have an amazing fight for second place.
Uh, I thought you were going to say that, mate. You know what?
I like to
Who
throw those little
knows?
you know what, JK? I hope
You and
that your legs of that relay are the fastest that they are, and your team though, just the
comes
American team's gonna
in
win.
second. Yeah, exactly. I love hearing that between you and my sister, mate. I enjoy hearing you guys banter about that. It'll be interesting. I've got a feeling the teams are meant to be announced in the next couple of days, but Who knows? Who knows?
I saw some teams were being announced. Is it up to the captains just to announce their team?
I
Did HYROX
think
say
it's
you're
up.
not supposed to announce it?
I think it's up to the country to actually announce it. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Um, all right. Well, we got to zero of the questions from the listeners today.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
and I know you only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to ask you what I found. I've been reading some of these, the easiest question.
Okay.
Maybe not the easiest one, but I don't know if it'll be short. It's probably going to end up being long. All right. So if racing versus time trialing is something that's becoming more topical in high rocks, especially next season, it makes me wonder what tactics we might start to see come into the sport at the top level. Will drafting on the runs, how beneficial could
Ooh.
drafting be in high rocks? Could we see pacemakers introduced? How big is the psychological advantage of getting to a station before arrival?
This is interesting. This topic came up in the car ride on the way home from the gym yesterday with Mr. Ted Petro, right? Who's Jess's wonderful husband. He suggested that maybe we will see rabbits, right? Or like people or athletes going into races to really try and force the pace from right from the word go. And I could see that happening maybe even next year where athletes are there to really try to break up or like be a disturbance, let's just say, with pacing. That's what I see. Not sure in the Elite 15, right? But in other races as well. Um, but sorry, what was the like I just got sidetracked, but what was the actual
Well,
question?
first, before I want to comment on what you just said, that I hope it never goes to that, but like in the Elite 15, in terms of like, you know how like
No.
cycling right now, they have the
Mm,
pelotons and there's literally people on your team that like are used basically as sacrificial lambs to
yeah,
these amazing
yeah,
athletes. It doesn't matter. They're used as a sacrificial lamb to break up for their main athlete to go through.
yeah.
I don't ever want to see that in this sport. I don't want to see like teams trying to stuff the Elite 15 or stuff races with their people so that they work as a team to break up the race for others. Um,
No. I don't
as
think that'll
and
ever happen in the Elite
I
15.
think what maybe could be good if the Elite 15 wanted to, if they put like what's it called, those light strips on the ground at the run and literally just had the world record pace
Wow,
going on a light
that's
strip, like
cool.
on the side of stations or like a counter at the station. So you could just see like, and it's on the ground during the runs. And that light strip is just programmed to the thing so that if you are on, like, because you would be happy to know, right? If you're like at the farmer carry and you're all of a sudden see the light right next to you and you're going at the same speed,
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm on world record pace. I'm going to try to do it. Like, those I would be maybe interested in.
yeah,
But I don't want to see actual pacers in the race being like, follow me if you want to run a 1 hour. I think that's part of the race. Like you got
yeah,
to run it on your own and everybody's different, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
So the other
but
question is, do you think you'll see drafting on the runs? How beneficial could drafting be in high rocks? And how big is the psychological advantage of getting to a station before arrival?
I think drafting on the runs, I think that my opinion or my thoughts is like, well, yeah, like as in, I don't want to use the word drafting it because it's not the right word in my eyes. It's like, well, it's just pacing off someone, but that's just to do with particular athletes' strategy more than
In
drafting,
indoor,
right?
in indoor, there's no wind. There's no
Well,
crosswind. There's
okay,
like,
well
is there
there you
really
go. But
drafting?
like,
I don't
so
think
that's why I'm
like it
saying
matters.
drafting. No,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but
like
if it turns
pacing next to someone,
absolutely.
yeah.
I'll even say that I've done that before where I'm pacing off someone, right? So, but yes, drafting. Second of all, the answer is yes to that second question of yeah, it's a mental. It can be a mental advantage to get to stations before others, but that all depends on one, the athlete, two, the other athlete, three, your own game tactic. There's so many variables when it comes to that answer, right?
Yeah. It really depends. I think that's the psychological advantage. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. You're never gonna cut someone off to get to a station, but
No.
if you like put on a burst of speed to get there, you gotta think about what that costs and what kind of impact is that gonna have? Is it gonna impact your opponent or is it just gonna boost you? And
Yeah,
like either
exactly.
one is important, but um, psychological advantage of getting to a station before arrival, unless you're in a giant group and are at risk of getting bumped because you missed your station, like bumped to the back of the station, where like a bunch of people coming at once and they fill in all the sleds and
Yeah.
then you don't get one and you have to go to the end. Um, unless it's something like that, or if like somebody's really struggling and they're like, let me just get to the station and I'll like be okay. And then you just pass them, like that could be the nail in the coffin, but in an elite race, probably not.
I personally think it's more mentally, mm, yeah, I'll say it. It's more mentally satisfying if you're passing someone on a run psychologically, in my eyes, right? Now, look, that what I just said there is not like, I'm not trying to, like, there's no example there or anything, but for me personally, I would rather psychologically pass someone on the
That
run.
that depends too, though, because like where on the run are you a
Yeah,
lap
well,
ahead or behind? Uh,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and also like what's that person feeling like? Because if they get passed on the run and they like try to match you and fail to match you, then yeah, they're probably pretty defeated. If you try to pass them and they like hold you off, right? Nobody's really defeated there. It's just kind of like you burned in energy because I tried to pass. So I'm still good because I knew I was good before that.
Mm,
As long as that person doesn't settle, right? Then they're probably
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. I can't wait for our one-to-one chat tomorrow now,
Oh,
Anthony.
I got some good ones for you.
Yeah.
I know exactly what scenario we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
I
yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time. I know we got to wrap this up. That was one question, guys. We have a lot of questions, but we always could do with more. So if you could just take a minute and go and write a rating or a review, we have a lot of really good reviews right now. A lot more. I just went and checked. We got a lot of ratings that I didn't expect, but it'd be awesome just to build that up. A lot of the other podcasts out there still have a little bit more than us. So even if you've rated us, if you can rate us again, takes less than a minute. Just hit those three little dots, go down, rating or review. It's both on Spotify or on Apple Podcast or wherever you are listening. And if you're on either of those or YouTube, a like and a comment go a long way as well. We would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to find us, either of us, you can message JK on Instagram at jk.jameskelly, or you can find me at the Hybrid Engine on Instagram. You should also go and watch JK and Georgie Vesely on YouTube. They have a
Hmm.
lot of past episodes from when they were traveling all last season that you can catch up on, as well as some episodes that are newly coming out. I just watched their second episode there and watched JK got smoked in some push-ups. Um, so
That would that would no reps, thank you very much.
yours weren't no
And
roots.
yeah, on that topic of YouTube, whilst we're here, you got to go check out Lauren Weeks's YouTube channel because there's some really insightful, I'll use that word, information and knowledge and like knowledge about training for HYROX, especially in the last episode of her lactic threshold testing, and personally, it was a great watch. Yes, I am I'm excited, but also like making sure that Lauren will never get to my running threshold.
Hey, JK,
Hey, she's coming, isn't she? She's
you
coming
guys, you
for
guys
me.
should definitely go watch Lauren's last episode on YouTube about measuring her lactate threshold. It was awesome. She had a really good lactate threshold test. We go through the process of how we do it and what we do, as well as go over the numbers and how we measure and determine it afterwards from the graph and the chart that it creates. The really cool thing about it, JK, is I personally kind of overlaid it on yours, and you guys are kind of identical right now. The last one you did. I don't know where you're at right now, but
Yeah, exactly.
with the
Yeah.
last one you did.
Did she do 9 sets? Like nine? Did she have to
Yeah,
do
she ended
nine
up
or?
so she ended up having to do an extra one because her
Yeah, because she
lactate
didn't hit it.
never broke upward.
Yeah.
So we ended up I thought like we would do 8 or I thought we would do 7. Ended up we got to 7 and I was like, we're gonna go past this. So we went 8 and 9 as well. And it's still, I mean, she doesn't accumulate lactate difficultly or a lot, like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really takes a lot for her to get there. And her last interval, she ran at interval 9 at 11.4 miles per hour.
For the whole
And
5 minutes.
for all 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and 11.4 miles per hour, um, guys would be an
320,
18.35 kilometers per hour.
321, no?
Um, so
323? No, hang
it'd
on.
be
That's
it'd be a 316 kilometer. And that was her last interval that she ran at, and I mean, that's where the lactate went up, but it didn't go up like a ton. Like mine goes like vertical when I get
yeah,
past
yeah.
it. Hers didn't really shoot like that, but it did go up to like 5.7, which was a big increase from the 4.5, which was the one before, which was a big increase
Mm.
from like the 3.0 or something that she had before that. So, like,
316. Holy moly.
yeah, so her
She's
last interval
coming.
was a 316.
Yeah.
And you guys go watch it. We say what all the numbers are. We say what our lactate threshold is, or running pace, or aerobic threshold as well, which is a lot
Yep.
of the where the running's done. So guys, just go check it out. Lots of cool stuff. It's insightful to see where the one of the best HYROX racers ever, what their numbers are, and how you
The
line up
best.
with that. So I know you got
Yeah.
to go, JK. Thanks for mentioning that last YouTube, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. If you'd like to reach out and get in contact with us, you can email the Hybrid Coaching Podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram either at the Hybrid Engine or at jk.jameskelly. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.